I told one story at a barbecue, and then spent a year inventing sequels to keep it alive. It started small, the way rot does. His sister asked why we'd canceled yet another Sunday dinner at his parents' house, and instead of saying the truth, because Mateo and I had been arguing like strangers who only knew each other's worst. My mouth found a shortcut. He's been different lately, I said, soft enough to sound like concern. I don't want to get into it. Her eyes widened in that eager, worried way, and my brain delivered a script. I said he'd gotten mean. I said he nitpicked my spending and called me names he hadn't. I implied, without saying the words, that he'd shoved a door hard enough to hit my shoulder. He didn't. I left carefully shaped silences for them to pour their own worst fears into. It made me feel protected in a way telling the plain, unflattering truth never does. The plain truth was that I'd been drinking more than a glass with dinner, that I'd been short-tempered with my job and then with him, and that when he asked if I was okay, I heard a verdict instead of concern. The plain truth was he'd suggested counseling, and I'd laugh like counseling was for people who didn't have the spine to white-knuckle their way back to normal. The plain truth was he had never once pushed me. He pushed back on my story of myself, and I hated him for it. My lies traveled faster than we did. His mother texted me a long, earnest message with at least 7 majitas, and one no matter what. We are your family too. His sister asked if I had a safe plan. His father, who says less than anyone, hugged me at the next gathering and didn't let go right away. Mateo felt the shift the second he walked in. How every question was a check-in on me and a scan of him. What did you say? He asked me in the car afterward, not angry, just confused. Nothing, I said. They asked if I'm okay. I said we've been arguing. Which was true the way a weather report is true if it says windy, during a hurricane. He tried to fix it with facts. He told them we were stressed. Work, money, my insomnia. He invited his parents to sit with us and hear both sides. He texted his sister articles about triangulation and apologized for being curt with her last week. He didn't attack me. He kept naming problems and offering repair like a man who refuses to surrender a house just because a wall is moldy. I didn't accept the repair. I doubled down. When his mother asked me privately if anything else had happened, I nodded slowly and looked down like women do in movies where men are monsters. I left with a Tupperware of arroz con leche, and the kind of sympathy you can spend like cash. The worst thing about a good family is how hard they love in the wrong directions. They sat him down at the kitchen table where he learned algebra, and asked him why he was hurting me. His father told him real men don't raise their voices. His mother cried. He came home white-faced, went to the bedroom, and shut the door with both hands on the knob like he was preventing a flood. Why didn't you correct them? I said, indignant as if I hadn't poured gasoline. I did, he said quietly through the wood. They think I'm defending myself. Because you are, I said, and walked away before the mirror could catch up. One more push and the story stuck. I let his sister see a bruise on my arm that I'd gotten from bumping into a doorframe half drunk. I didn't say he did it. I didn't need to. Her face changed into something hard and bright. The next week she posted a graphic about Believe Her on Instagram. His mother stopped inviting him to fix the squeaky back door, and texted me about locksmiths instead. He moved into the living room for a while, not as a punishment to me, but as a boundary for himself. He put his clothes in a neat stack like a man in a hotel. He cooked his own eggs separately and ate them standing up. He told me he'd be moving out at the end of the month, and gave me a list of things he'd transfer to my name. He did not take the coffee machine or the decent pants. He left them because he is the kind of man who knows you need a kitchen to keep your life from falling apart. He took an international assignment with his firm 2 months later. Osaka first, then Tokyo. 1 year, he said, maybe 2. He didn't make speeches when he left. He sent his parents a calendar with his flights and his new address. He sent me a short email. I'm not running away from you. I'm walking toward a life where I'm not the villain in someone else's story. Japan loved him the way countries sometimes love men who show up speaking softly and paying attention. He sent his niece a Totoro plushie, and his father a Japanese plane kit, and his mother a silk scarf with cranes. He sent nothing to me. His sister posted a photo of him at Shibuya Crossing, grinning like a man who learned how to sleep through the night again. His mother sent me that photo with a sad face, and I wish he would call more. I did not say you told him to stop calling. I did not say anything. I put the phone face down and poured another glass. The night I got the DUI, the world smelled like citrus and bad decisions. My friend had gotten promoted, and we pretended we were still 25. I Ubered to the bar. I even Ubered between bars. At midnight I felt sober enough and bored enough to want my own bed and my own pillow. The street outside my apartment is one of those wide, empty ones that makes you feel like you're the only person alive. I told myself it was fine. It wasn't far. I would go slow. A block from home, a light pulsed in my rearview. Blue, then red, then a bright white that made the night look like an interrogation room. My stomach fell. I pulled over in front of the bodega. The clerk looked up from his stool and did that tiny eyebrow raise that says, "Damn, girl, and I don't want to be in this either." I won't relive every beat. How my hands shook. How my mouth kept trying to be charming, deeply unhelpful. How the questions came in a calm tone that made my face burn. Where are you coming from? How much have you had? Do you know why I stopped you? I could smell the answer in my own breath. He asked me to step out. The air had that late-night damp that always smells like regret. I did the walk-in turn. I did the one-leg stand in heels until he told me to take them off. I tried to follow the penlight and realized my eyes were doing their own twitchy dance. At the station, the breath test printed a number that didn't care about my feelings. In my state, anything over .08 is a DUI. Mine wasn't a decimal you can argue with. I sobered up fast enough to feel everything. I called no one. Not because I'm noble, but because I've carefully ruined my emergency list. My parents would lecture me. My best friend has toddlers and a husband who wakes at 5. His family would have answered, but I've made myself the heroine in their minds, and heroines don't need rides from holding. I think I would have called Mateo if he were here, because he's the one who knows how to speak to a mess without letting it spread. He was 14 hours ahead, asleep in a city where even trash days have rules posted with polite cartoon mascots. I got arraigned the next afternoon in a room that smells like floor cleaner and tired people. First offense misdemeanor, the charge read. My public defender, because I am practical not rich, explained what to expect. License suspension likely. Administrative first, then the criminal case. Fines that will feel like punishment and programming I can't charm my way out of. DUI classes, a MAD panel, maybe an ignition interlock when I get driving privileges back. Probation for a year, maybe 2. If I'm lucky, no jail. Maybe community service instead. If I'm unlucky, a weekend in county that I will call eye-opening, because I'm trying to become a person who can say consequences, like a grown-up. That night I found the courage to tell the truth, and I sent it to the only person I ever should have told, his mother. I lied, I typed, and watched the words sit there like wet stones. He never hurt me. I was drinking more than I admitted. I exaggerated, then I let you all fill in the blanks. I'm sorry for what I did to your son's place in his own family. There is no undo button for a year of rumor. But honesty is also a habit. It begins the same way lies do, small and practiced until it grows. She didn't respond that night. She responded the next day with a voice note because she is 62 and voice notes make her feel like she can touch your shoulder. I appreciate your message, Mija, she said. We love you. We love him. We made mistakes too. We believed what was easy to believe because it fit a story we were scared to look at. I'm happy he's eating well and sleeping. I will tell him I heard from you if he wants me to. I won't push him. He texted me one line 2 days later, through the time zones. I accept your apology. I'm keeping the boundary. The gentleness of it stung worse than anger. He didn't need me to come to Japan and cry on a street corner to earn a scene. He didn't need to parade a new girlfriend through my feed to prove he was unbroken. He simply kept building. Language classes, weekend hikes on well-marked trails, friends who send him ridiculous stickers, a job where his boss trusts him because he keeps his promises. He wins because he refused to let my version of him be the permanent one. He wins because he stepped away, not upstage. On the morning of my plea hearing, I sat on the courthouse steps in a blazer I don't like, I own exactly one, and read the terms out loud like they were an instruction sheet for a tool I'd ignored too long. Fines, 12-week DUI class, victim impact panel, a restricted license with interlock if the DMV lets me, probation for a year. Longer if I mess up. My lawyer said, "This is a good deal." And I nodded because good is relative and deal is a thing you sign when the alternative is a story you can't afford to keep telling. After court I walked to my car and looked at the future gadget that will judge me every morning before I can go anywhere. An interlock device with a little screen that will ask me to prove I am someone safe enough to move. I thought of Mateo, 15 hours ahead, unlocking a simple bicycle to get noodles in a city that makes sense. He'll be fine whether I ever am or not. That is what losing with grace looks like. Here's the lesson I wish I'd learned a year ago. When you turn a person you love into a villain so you don't have to be wrong, you will eventually be the only one left to play the part. And when the law hands you a mirror, look at the whole face. I'm in therapy now, like a cliche that works. I go to meetings where women with better jokes than me put their chips down and mean it. I put water in wine glasses when I host so my hands remember the shape without the story. I write down truths that are boring. Slept 8 hours, did not invent a narrative today. I send his mother photos of the plants I didn't kill. She sends me recipes. Sometimes she mentions his Japan life in passing. I ask a follow-up, and then make myself stop at one question. Boundaries are also a habit. He's coming home in spring for a visit. I won't see him. He asked me not to. I will send a letter to his parents before, telling them again what I did, and what I'm doing now. I will not ask for their forgiveness like a refund. I will not ask for his. I will keep making coffee without wine in it, and I will blow into a tube to make the car start, and I will consider that a privilege, not a humiliation. He wins because he built a life without needing me to narrate it. I'm finally building one without needing to be the victim in it. That's not just as poetic enough for a movie. It's just people choosing better stories because the old ones stopped letting us sleep. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. She lied until his own family turned on him. And when the fallout came, it wasn't some dramatic showdown. He moved overseas, thrived quietly and kept hard boundaries. Meanwhile, she caught a first offense DUI and had to live with real-world consequences. Fines, classes, interlock, probation. Lesson: weaponizing sympathy will eventually leave you alone with your mess, and the law doesn't care about your narrative. If you liked this video, please subscribe for more. Thanks and see y'all tomorrow.